Broadcasting live from the White House of Talk, this is Tom McConnell.
And a magnificent, dark, Black Monday to you. A hangover of Super Bowl. That's it. I'm done for sports now. Until the playoffs and hockey start. You can't watch that stuff until
Come on, MLB spring training is a month away.
Baseball's for old men. And Labatt Blue and listening to the radio in your garage. I'm Jim Fannin, covering for Tommy today on Black Monday, I guess we'll call it. It's getting some time. One of the wise guys. Super Bowl used to be the best day of the year for me. That, and a close runner-up was American Thanksgiving. Love football. Yesterday I had to work, and I had to work American Thanksgiving as a show host here on 610 CKTB. I love being behind the mic more than I do getting crazy with my boys and watching football. But that did happen yesterday. Might as well talk about that right off the bat at 9:15. Got a great show for you planned up today. Kimberly Turner, our foodie expert, will be in at 10 o'clock. Find out what she made last night. And I want to get an idea of what she's got planned for my freezer. Love cooking stuff and freezing it so I can bring it in for lunch or heat it up for dinner. Clarke Bitter will come in at 11:30. And we got a bunch of interviews for you today, too. So we will take your calls. Camps breaks it down this way. You've got the game, you've got the halftime show, and you've got the commercials. So we'll take your thoughts on all of that. I actually missed the halftime show. I was in transit. Had a couple commitments I had to keep yesterday. I didn't want to leave the first one, but we got out safely. And the NRP says we were good. My way home last night, they had the Lake Street exit blocked off with a ride check. OPP was there. I guess we're learning. Not drinking and driving. Finding a safe way home. Taking a cab. Designated drivers. They only got one guy for pot yesterday. No drunk drivers. Can they pull you over for a ride check and bust you for pot? Don't they need to, actually have cause to bust you for that? I don't know.
Well, it depends when you smoked last.
I guess if they smell it on you.
3 minutes ago. Yeah, well.
Are you under the influence? No.
You know what? I think it's this coat. Really.
It's secondhand smoke. I was with my friends in a really small garage, and I got hotboxed.
I said no.
But I did not inhale other than secondhand. So 905-688-2582. We'll start off with your Super Bowl stories. Where were you at? Did you get enough to eat? Man, what a gorge session. So full. I'm still full this morning. I think I can take the day off. The party that I was at, they're having another party today at noon to eat all the leftovers. Meatballs, chicken wings, jerk chicken. Oh, off the hook. And then ended up at the second party with fajitas. Cooked on a charcoal grill. There's nothing better than a charcoal grill, man. Forget the gas. Mesquite chips all smoky, and talk about tasty fajitas. When the steak is burned on the grill, you got a good flavor. So we'll take your calls on that first, and then we got a great show for you lined up today. We're here 9 to 12 for Tommy's. Back tomorrow, no fear. 905-688-2582, 1-877-610-CKTB. Of course, text is always the easiest and most efficient way to get into the show. You can text pound 610 is a bell. Free call. Text 61010. Other ways that you can interact with the show. You can tweet us out on Twitter at 610CKTB. And chirp me out, too, while you're at it, at Jim Fannin. Shoot me an email, JimFannon@gmail.com. And we have some new Bruno Mars fans, even in the station. The kid's got talent. And the only thing I was most excited about yesterday was the under-over on the anthem. I'm going, hurry up. We really liked the under in that after days of research of previous anthem singers. What was the under-over? I don't know, 230 or something like that, 220. Hurry up, go, go, go. Ridiculous. I think there was more money on the coin toss than anything at the party I was at. So we will take your calls on Super Bowl Sunday. At 10 o'clock, Kimberly Turner comes in. She's with Cooking with Kimberly. You can catch her on YouTube and online. We have a press release that came to the station the other day. The pipeline is good for Canada. Working on an interview for that at 9:45. Kimberly Turner at 10. And then Clarke Bitter will roll in at 11:30. We'll have a couple segments with him. We'll talk everything green in the by-election in Niagara Falls. You have your digits. First out. We want your Super Bowl stories. Where were you? Did you have money on the game? What do you think of Bruno Mars' performance? The Chili Peppers played? What? Chili Peppers don't seem like a Super Bowl halftime gig. Now, that's about the only band I think I would pay money to see now. I think I've seen just about everyone else I want to see. But the Peppers are one I missed. No offense to my friend Greg Campagna, but Tragically Hip is not a band I would pay to see, ever. I don't own an album. I think I hear them on the radio quite enough. But the Peppers are playing the Super Bowl, along with Bruno Mars. Again, they don't sound like a band that's Super Bowl ready for me. Terry, you're on the Tom McConnell Show. How are you, Terry?
Mr. Jimmy Fannon, what do you say there, buddy?
I'm alive. It's all good, bro.
What a friggin' embarrassment. My Steelers could have beat Denver last night.
The AFC sucks. You know what I mean? I can't watch AFC football. I don't know what it is about it. Even 25 years ago or 35 years ago when I started watching football, I always was an NFC guy. And still to this day, I can't stand the AFC. I don't like their style of football. I don't know if it's just me, but everyone picked the Broncos, and Seattle came with a wall of defense. That was
Unreal.
nice.
That was like they showed up for that game. That's for damn sure. But the one question I was saying to Greg there was, like, I'm going to be curious to find out who won those 25 questions. Because one of the questions was if there's going to be a safety. Another question was if a football is going to hit an upright.
Yeah.
Which all happened.
Well, I heard that the odds on the first play at the first score being a safety was like 400 to 1.
So somebody's got like a lot of money.
Wow, how many people actually bet that? But I guess I was thinking the same thing. You know, if you get enough money to bet just about anything, you can throw a hundo down on just about anything. And if it comes in, you look like a genius. But the problem is you got to put a hundo down 100 times on 100 different long shot bets for one of them to pay off.
I tell you, I bet you somebody made some money yesterday.
Yeah, I think 400 to 1. Somebody was saying if you threw 100 down on it, you would have made $4,000 on the safety will be the first score of the game. But I'm not a betting man, but I was with the under for the anthem only because one of my buddies said, "Oh no, I've got this one." He bet the under and the Seahawks straight up. Don't tease your bets. A tease is a loser's bet for sure.
Anyway, you have yourself a great day.
Thanks, Terry. 905-688-2582. On the other side, we will take your calls. Super Bowl-related calls. Camps is running the board today. Tommy's back tomorrow. Got a few decent interviews for you today. We'll have some fun on your Black Monday, Super Bowl Monday. This is 610 CKTB.
Never had much faith in love or miracles. Never wanna put my heart up and ride it. But swimming in your world is something spiritual.
to Tom McConnell on News Talk 610 CKTB and online at 610CKTB.com. Call now at 905-688-CKTB, 1-877-610-CKTB, or pound 610 on the Bell Mobility Network.
Welcome back. I am Jim Fannin. Tell me about your Super Bowl. Did you see the halftime show? I totally missed it, so fill me in. I think Bruno Mars a talent. Straight up stud. That boy can sing. He reminds me of Michael Jackson a little bit. Kid can play, man. The Chili Peppers, I'm sorry I missed them now. They've got some game. I love the Peppers. Funky rock. Peppers are solid. Can't believe they reduced themselves to play in the Super Bowl halftime show. Tell me that was a dream. I missed it. And they're complaining about the traffic. Getting in and out. A friend of mine's at the game, Brian Grant, local realtor here. He Facebooks, I'm sitting beside Emmitt Smith, but I don't know who he is. Always the least likely people get tickets for things like this, right? He doesn't even watch football. And how can you not know who Emmitt Smith is, even if you're not a football fan? I am sitting beside Emmitt Smith, and I have no idea who he is. One of the greatest running backs ever to play the game, Brian. Nice. And Sherman was running his gait. And it just goes to prove if you have game, you can run your mouth and run all the smack you want. If you're considered a shutdown corner, I don't think there's been a shutdown corner in this league since primetime, Deion Sanders. But if you got that kind of game and you are the best in the business, then you can run your gait all you want. And he backed it up. I had no idea who I was rooting for. You know, when your team's out, you don't really care. I usually go for the NFC. But I didn't really care, and I thought Manning was a machine. But my buddies that are much more into football betting than I am said that 4 out of the 5 last times that the best offense came up against the best defense, guess who wins? Defense. And this proved it. Seattle was a wall out there. You could not get by them on the ground. Just shutting everything down. So I had no idea what I was going for until the first snap goes over Manning's head and see his face, and the ball just goes ping right by as he's trying to shift the play. And somebody was telling me the other day, I hate how Manning is like, even in the video games, it takes you 40 seconds to get a play off. Like the video games are so realistic, like you can't just skip all the shifts at the lines and the audibles and the fake hand gestures and Omaha this, Omaha that. So when that snap went over his head, I immediately was like, yes! Oh, I guess I'm a Seattle fan today. I was surprised. It surprised me. Surprised Manning, too. It went right over his head. And then who would have expected? And then the place that I was at, a buddy of mine's like, it's going to be a blowout. I'm like, really? Right off the... And did you know you can actually place a bet after they kick off? Like in Vegas or online betting, I guess. Well, maybe not Vegas, but on online betting, you can take a bet anytime during the game. I didn't know that. Of course, the odds change. But I'm like, if I was a betting man, I think I'd be jumping on Seattle right now. And my buddy was saying, oh, yeah, this is it. It's going to be a blowout. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. Next thing you know, it's 22-0 or something at halftime. Unbelievable. Did you watch the game? What did you think of the halftime show? I missed all the commercials, but you know when you're sitting with somebody that's already seen the movie, and they're like, oh, no, don't watch this. I was sitting with my cousin for the second half, and he said, oh, this is a great commercial. Well, he had seen it, but just because you've seen it doesn't mean it's great. He was pointing to all these commercials that were absolutely horrible. That Doritos commercial was stupid. Yeah,
that's it, eh? Every time. You're staring at the television, and the guy next to you, wow, watch this. No, watch this part. Oh, man. The party I was at, the guy had an antenna, and he got the American commercials. I don't know how he did it.
The
he
best
rigged
picture
up some,
you can find,
system. And we got the American commercials. Unfortunately, I think I was the only one at the party that actually cared about the game, so I couldn't hear anything. There's 30 people, kids running around. It was a great party. Awesome food, wonderful. I had a great time. But I think I was the only one. So I missed I saw them, but I couldn't hear them.
I could hear the game perfectly when I went outside to the garage where they were cooking the food. Their deep fryers are gone and barbecues and stuff like that on the garage. So I go out to talk to George a little bit, and my ears are ringing. And I realized that it's so freaking loud down. The game was turned up so loud, like you couldn't hear anything. I'm like, I felt like I was at a concert.
The 12th man.
There's no happy medium, but everyone was very good, and they were forced to not have much conversation between themselves. All they could do is just watch the show.
Oh, so they were forced to. So was it a room full of people that actually wanted to watch the game?
Yeah. No, it seemed like
you're lucky. See, I never go to those parties.
At least their mannerisms acted like they wanted to be there to see the game, and so it was loud. And we were just talking off air. Everyone's an expert at the Super Bowl, especially the people that don't watch football all the time. They're like, oh, yeah, that was a cat. Yeah, you need 2 feet to get it. No, that was a cat. No, you need 2 feet and pounds to catch the ball. And I Facebooked out just right off the bat, who's got the under on the anthem? Hurry up. She starts stretching it out a little bit. I see my buddy just wiggling. You knew he had the under. He's like, oh, no, hurry up. Let's go. Let's get this game over with. 905-688-2582. 1-877-610-CKTB. Pound 610 is a free call on the Bell Mobility Network, and text into the studio. Oh, I promise I'll get to your text message. Pound. Oh, there we go. 61010 is your text message. What? What is Super Bowl? A bowling tournament? That's the lone text so far. So I had a couple parties to go to. Totally missed the halftime show, which is not a disappointment for me. I don't watch football to watch the halftime show. I always go out to the barbecue or I find something to do at the halftime show. I could care less. And frankly, I could care less about the commercials too. But I guess you can see them on YouTube.
Oh, yeah, or go to BuzzFeed. They have
BuzzFeed?
They have them all there.
The best picture you can get is over the air, and you can get it, the digital picture from WN, Channel 17. Mm-hmm. Fox has got a local. And I said to Stewie last night, I said, dude, you need to have something other than satellite. Well, like if the system goes down, you're going to have radio that you can listen to for emergency, but you need to have some TV too. Get that HD out. Get your rabbit ears out and get that HD picture that's better than satellite or cable. HD TV is better over the air than anything else. Put a little tower up, I told them. 905-688-2582. More after this on 610 CKTB.
Listening to Tom McConnell on News Talk 610 CKTB and online at 610CKTB.com. Call now at 905-688-CKTB, 1-877-610-CKTB, or pound 610 on the Bell Mobility Network.
Welcome back. I am Jim Fannin. Tommy's back tomorrow. In a text message following up from last segment. Jim, do-it-yourself antenna for TV cost about $5. I get 30 channels in Jordan. Free TV. Love it. It does not suck having free TV. And the picture's awesome. Best you can get. 61010 is your text. Super Bowl winners are now world champions? World? Seriously? Why do Americans feel the need to project themselves as more or greater than they are? It's a, quote, American championship game. Nothing world about it. Might as well call them champions of the universe. Okay.
Well, I agree, but they are the best in the world.
Yeah, there's no other game.
I mean, at that sport, right?
World Series.
Fastest runner.
World champs.
World Series, same thing. Best baseball players in the world.
PBA is the best bowlers in the world. You don't want to forget the bowlers.
However, I think the guy who invented the world, his last name was World.
Come on.
I'm serious. Back in 1906.
And he coined the phrase world champs?
Well, World Series.
Oh, okay.
The baseball. Come on,
yeah,
Camps. The World Series. And the guy's name was
You're trying to pull
World.
one over on the scrub?
I'm serious. Tom World. Or something like that.
Yeah?
Yes. Watch Ken Burns baseball. He'll tell you.
All right.
All right.
905-688-2582. If you got some Super Bowl takes, we'll take them. Being Black Monday. Switching gears a little bit now, the State of the City address came down. Mayor McMullen gave it on Friday at the Parkway. I think it's called the Holiday Inn Convention Center, something now on Ontario Street. Always interesting to see the mayor's take on what we've accomplished and where we want to go. All I want to know is, Brian, are you running? And there was no leads on that. My guess is he's not. If he was, and he was hungry for it, he would have come out by now. So I'm just speculating. But Mayor McMullen also used the State of the City address to announce a $35 million residential condo-style development plan for the former hospital site, known as the Hotel Dieu, now owned by the Schaefer. The State of the City address is sponsored by the Greater Niagara Chamber of Commerce, which is a normal thing. State of the Region is coming up. Gary Burrows will give that. The mayor called it a really exciting development in the heart of our city. I would agree. More residential, more people living downtown is a good thing. And look at downtown. Man, when I was downtown being a realtor, about 5 years ago, I was doing a lot of business downtown, and you couldn't give the stuff away. We had a 50% vacancy rate on St. Paul Street. Now it looks like nothing's vacant. If it's got paper in the window, it's not because the store went bankrupt. It's because they're remodeling to open to something new. So as the Meridian Center rises from the earth in the lower level parking lot, and the Performing Arts Center is doing the same down the ravine a little bit on Carlisle and St. Paul. Properties are getting scooped up and they're selling for more than, well, a lot more than they used to. And you know when realtors are buying downtown properties, specifically brokerages, you got to get in. But the vacancy rate is way down. Just a quick look driving the other day. I actually surveyed the street by foot about 5 years ago. And if it was closed or vacant or had a for sale sign in it, I took down the address, made note of it, and followed it up. And it was almost 50%. I think you'd be lucky to find 20% at vacancy rate downtown now, maybe less than that. So a lot of good things coming to the downtown core, and there is more to come. More announcements will be coming. Residential developments. This particular one, Mountain View and Walker Industries purchased the 17-acre property in 2006, along with Diversicare, a long-term residential care for seniors and housing company. And they will provide the $35 million investment, Mayor McMullen said. So things are looking up. Maybe it's time to make a personal investment in downtown. It certainly has turned the corner And even with all the announcements and the approvals in place 5 years ago, trust me, I had a lot of property downtown listed, and we couldn't give the stuff away. You couldn't get a call on it. Forget finance it. So now it's starting to move. And the mayor highlighted some of his accomplishments, and damn, when you get the checklist all checked off, tick, 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 what's left to do? So I'm sure we'll hear in the next coming weeks the mayor's announcement he's either going to run or he's not going to run. I think Brian's done a pretty good job getting things done, whether you agree with the hockey arena downtown or the Performing Arts Center, and some people will say he's been spending a lot and we're going to have to pay for that later. A lot of this infrastructure, I think, was necessary, if not necessary, an improvement on what we had. And now we got the Gatecliff question. Close it. And I hear that they're not going to close it without a plan. Birch, that heads up the budget committee, actually has a proposal to close Gatecliff. I know he's been meeting with the ice users, and it sounds like they're going to work something out. They're going to close the jack, and I say redevelop that land. Here's a great idea for you for that land. So you've got commercial on the main floor, maybe the bottom two floors, offices maybe above commercial, residential above that. But I think what we should be building right now with the aging demographics in St. Catharines and everywhere, how about a residential complex with 2-bedroom, 2-bath for seniors, because that's what they want. They want their own bedroom, their own private bathroom, with medical care, just in case. So, there's a lot of money out there from seniors that have their house paid for. It's been paid for years. And they're looking to go, where are they going? Where's their last stop? Usually a home with care. When you can't take care of yourself, why not let them buy a condo? You get your normal condo fees, but when you get sick, you can dial up the 3rd floor, which is a hospital basically, and say, sign me up, I need the 24-hour care. And I'll pay the $2,500 a month or whatever it is for the 24-hour care. There's got to be a market, a profit center for that type of business, that type of setup. Of course, it wouldn't have to all be seniors. And then you'd have a nice mix, too. You have the seniors that kind of plan the booze bus or the bingo trips or casino-rama trips or whatever, the casino trips. And then you'd have some younger folks mixed in there, too, because this is a good deal. I don't know, $300,000, 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom condo. There's got to be a market for this aging demographic and people that are going to need care that maybe don't need it right now. So you go in, you don't have to give your money to long-term care facilities. They're expensive. And live in your own home and drive your own car, park it in the garage underground. And if you get to a point where you can't take care of yourself, you just sign up for the long-term care. So much more residential component will be required downtown to shift that. And I think we're already seeing this shift. And we've seen some residential announcements as well. So good on you, Mayor McMullen. But we want to know, are you running? 905-688-2582. 1-877-610-CKTB. Coming up at 10 o'clock, we got Cooking with Kimberly. Looking forward to a couple segments with her. She was on with Tim there Friday, I think. We're going to get some tips on being in the kitchen. Clarke Bitter will be in at 11:30, and we are chasing an interview. The pipeline is good for Canada? Good for greenhouse gases? What? 11 o'clock, we'll have that for you. This is 610 CKTB.
listening to Tom McConnell on News Talk 610 CKTB and online at 610CKTB.com. Call now at 905-688-CKTB, 1-877-610-CKTB, or pound 610 on the Bell Mobility Network.
Welcome back. I am Jim Fannin. This just in. Julian Fantino is a jackass, and he doesn't care about the veterans, and he refuses to step down. Man, there's few people that bother me in politics as much as this man. This is also the guy that said taking your car at the side of the road without due process because you are, quote, stunting. Yeah, he did that as the head of the OPP. Talk about unconstitutional. So nothing's proven in court, but at the side of the road, they can jack your car from you. That is BS. And as the calls filter in for Fantino to resign, he basically is flipping you the bird. Speaking with our sister station 1010, News Talk 1010, on Sunday, Fantino said that he believes the Public Service Alliance of Canada has been spreading, quote, misinformation that has, quote, agitated the veterans community. No, you have agitated the veterans, Fantino. You don't want to mess with the veterans. Have some respect. A group of veterans traveled to Ottawa last week to discuss the closure of 8 regional Veterans Affairs offices with Fantino, but the minister was more than an hour late. Hundreds of veterans have recently rallied against the office closures. But Fantino wants to spread the buck, pass the buck, spread the blame around, whatever you want to tag it. He quote, it all goes back to a huge amount of misinformation, miscommunication, and also mischief making that I attribute very directly to the Public Service Alliance of Canada, he told News Talk 1010. I would be agitated, too, if some of these lines that have been putting out, Fantino added. I feel badly for the veterans. They've served their country, and they don't need this aggravation. So step down, Fantino, and get out of the way. Why should I resign, he said. From Mr. Mouclair to demand in such an angry fashion my resignation, I take that as a badge of honor, he declared. Unbelievable. One of the veterans calling for Fantino's resignation says that attempting to shift the blame to the union, the minister is suggesting veterans are stupid. Did you see the video of Fantino interacting with the veterans? There is obviously a lack of respect there, period. He shows up late. The guys are obviously a little ticked, more than a little ticked, and he just continues to toe the party line. The Conservative Party, your conservative government of Canada, as they are lovingly referring to themselves as your conservative government of Canada. I wish Fantino would get out of the way, please. He apologized in the House. Obviously, somebody put him up to it because it did not look sincere. And since then, he's continued to slight the veterans. With so many stories, some of the political parties were making news out of some of the suicides that happened over the holidays, over the Christmas break. I mean, one is enough, but there was many. These guys are coming back with mental conditions, physical ailments. I mean, when you see what they've seen, it's tough to come back into society, I would imagine. So Fantino continually is poking at the veterans and just kind of thumbing his nose at them and saying, no, I'm not going anywhere. I'd love to see this guy get out of the way, but you see with the ego, with most of these guys, some of these politicians, they just don't get it. 905-688-2582. Vincent, you're on the Tom McConnell Show. How are you?
I'm pretty good. How are you?
I'm good.
Yeah, Jim, I was interested in your comments this morning about the Gatecliff complex, in the complex here with a condo, etc. I think it's a great idea. We should get rid of those two rinks. But I'm not sure the commercial aspect that you mentioned would fly. Reason I say that is because I look at the parking garage where they left the lower level for so-called commercial, and this to this day is still empty. There's nobody there.
Good point.
And so I think the commercial may not go, given the parking garage is even closer to the center of the downtown.
Yeah, I think what St. Catharines is missing downtown especially is a grocery store and a gas station. So maybe that lower parking lot, lower level of the parking lot doesn't fit that parameters, or maybe they're just not looking to come down here because the residential component's not there yet. I mean, you can't live off students buying groceries alone. All they buy is Mr. Noodles probably, but...
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I was looking at the list of arenas we have in the city here, and up till the time the 4-pad was built, we had, I think, including Meriton, which last time I looked was part of St. Catharines.
Yeah.
There were, I think, 5 ice surfaces, rinks.
Right.
Now, with the new one being built, including the 4-pad, we now have 10 ice surfaces. At a time when the city hasn't grown, I understand fewer kids are going into hockey for various reasons, economics, etc. Why all of a sudden we can't get rid of a couple of ice surfaces when we have double the number that we had for forever?
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, Vincent, and I think there's a move. See, the problem is that running a single pad facility is a money loser all the time. You can run a 4-pad, and there's groups that will come in and run it privately for you and make money from the city if the city doesn't do it at all themselves. So I know there is money in the surfaces, but we're talking about a few. We got the Jack. We got Rex Dimers, then we got Heg Bowl and Bill Burgoyne. They're all aged facilities. They're all single pad facilities. So I think the idea might be maybe you close all 4 of them. You can get a redevelopment, residential component for most of all of them. A couple of them, one's downtown, or 3 downtown if you include Heg Bowl on the outskirts of downtown. And then Bill Burgoyne is in the north end. But then if you ran or sold or let somebody else run a 4-pad, then you could build a brand new 4-pad, and you'd be much more efficient as far as the bottom line goes to the city. Right now, just the Jack and Rex Dimers cost us $1 million a year to keep open. So I think fiscally, it's irresponsible to do that.
But the point is, to build a new 2-pad is going to cost X million, and if we can't make any money off the locations where these other are closed, the older ones, we're back into the taxpayer's pocket again.
Yeah, well, we might have the best of both worlds. We might be able to sell off some surplus lands, get some redevelopment and some new tax assessment from it, and then just let the private sector build a 4-pad and run it. Forget our budget.
But I think they could do that certainly with the complex on Gill Crescent. They can, instead of being a liability, it could be a moneymaker. If the tax money coming in for a change, but I just don't buy, adding more. But yeah.
Vincent, thank you for your call. We got to go to a break. We're up against it. Greg Campagna running the board. This is 610 CKTV.
to Tom McConnell on News Talk 610 CKTB and online at 610ckTB.com. Call now at 905-688-CKTB, 1-877-610-CKTB, or pound 610 on the Bell Mobility Network.
Back, I am Jim Fannin, covering for Tommy today on Black Mondays, getting some time with the family, getting rested up after the big game last night. 905-688-2582 are your digits, 1-877-610-CKTB, pound 610 on the Bell Mobility Network. And you can text the program, 61010 as promised. Kimberly Turner is in the house. Thanks for taking the time. I heard you on with Tim Dennis the other day. You sound like a natural.
Well, thank you.
Tell us a little bit about cooking with Kimberly. Who are you? Where'd you come from? And what are you doing in St. Catharines?
Well, I'm originally from St. Catharines.
Okay.
And then I actually lived in Australia for a year, and I went to school in the States to Texas A&M and McNeese State University. Shout out McNeese. My people are listening today. And then I went and coached at University of Northern Iowa. I'm a softball pitcher. That's what I went on full scholarship for. But then I came home, take care of my dad and my mom, and, I had to figure out a way to make money from home to be able to take care of my mom from home. She's disabled. And this is what I've come up with. So I do my cooking shows. My mom I've always been in the kitchen with my mom since I was little. And then when I went away to school and around the world to play baseball, I had to figure out how mom cooked because I didn't like what everyone else was feeding me.
I figured out when I was a very young lad that if you wanted something that tasted good, you need to learn how to cook it yourself, because
Absolutely.
my mother was burning the hell out of everything that came out of that oven. Well, she wasn't burning it, but my father just liked everything well done, so everything came out dry and tasteless. And I didn't know that chicken was supposed to be, as soon as it's clear, the juices run clear, you get it off there. It doesn't have to be all white and dry and tasteless.
Absolutely not. But you know what? I don't discount anyone's taste because I think that everyone has their own taste, and who's to say anyone's palate is any more important or better than the next.
Right.
The frou-frou foodies out there, it hurts me because that's why I have my show is really real. I show you all my mistakes and my spoons falling on the floor and my dog's barking and my mom's coming in through the show, and that's real life. And I think that we shouldn't scare people out of the kitchen. I think that's what's going on. People are afraid to cook. They're afraid to not make the right thing or whatever that is. So they go to McDonald's and they don't have time for that. So get in the kitchen. Don't be afraid.
Now tell me, who rules the kitchen, men or women? In the professional world, I mean, we know the traditional roles, and women, we're traditionally in the kitchen, and the sexist position, get back to the kitchen. But I love the kitchen, and I can cook better than most women I know. So who rules the kitchen, though?
Good on you.
In your house?
In my house, me and mom. I mean, it's just me and mom. So mom taught me how to cook. Anytime mom wants to come in the kitchen, she's feeling it that day, she has full reign, and I'll be her sous chef any day of the week, because anything my mom makes is what my mom makes.
She's formally trained, or just...
No, not at all. I'm not formally trained either.
So tell me, I caught a couple of your videos, and there's something very cool about seeing a woman that knows her way around the kitchen, and you get some personality too. So, and there's nothing like live radio or live TV. Mistakes happen, right?
Exactly.
But
you have to roll with it.
I caught a couple of your shows where you're just like, okay, I'm going to put all this stuff in the crock pot. I'm going to leave it for 10 days and come back, and it'll be ready to eat.
Exactly, and it's tasty, right?
Yeah.
And I made it myself.
Slow cookers and stuff like that are not something that I've messed around with a lot. But I think I saw beans and rice or something like that.
So easy.
And you're just like 4 cups of water, 2 cups of beans, done.
So easy. And you know what? You are really cutting down on your food bill. You're not eating out. You're eating way healthier. Even if you cook at home and you cook unhealthy, quote unquote, unhealthy food, you're still eating way better than you are going to a restaurant. You don't know what they're putting in it. You don't know who's washing their hands and I'm sorry, everybody out there, who's washing their hands and not, but I'm really funny about that.
Yeah.
So you save money, you are doing it yourself, and I think you take more responsibility for your body, when you're preparing the food that goes into it.
I want to know some tips on. I love the chili scoffs. I love, my brother does lasagna. Cut it up and freeze it so it's good to go. And you have this, you eat a spaghetti sauce by the gallons.
Absolutely.
And then freezing containers of it so that, one day you roll up and, you can leave it out on the counter overnight to come to room temperature, and then you got a full meal that took you 3 days to create, and then you've got a little package of heaven that's been frozen in time.
Tasty goodness.
Boom, you come out and there's no preparation needed. You
absolutely. You just heat it back up.
What are some of your favorite foods to cook in mass quantities and then
quantities? Well,
and then always reheat well?
Absolutely. I'm of German-Ukrainian descent, and our big thing in our house is cabbage rolls and pierogies, homemade pierogies. So, and they take a lot, they're tedious work, right? So when we do it, me and Mom do it in like giant batches and we freeze it. In fact, that's one of the things that she would come down to visit me in university, and we would make batches of stuff. I had a freezer in my apartment at university, a big deep freeze, so that when Mom came down, we'd make Zwieback buns, we'd make pierogi buns, all these German buns, and then the pierogies and the cabbage rolls, and we'd freeze it, and I'd have it all semester. And then we'd make freezer jam, so I'd have jam just like Mom. Yeah. But you know what? You can also do mac and cheese and put it in the freezer. You can do lasagna, like you said. You can do shepherd's pie even.
Shepherd's pie turns out really well. Now, Germany, strangely enough, I have a few friends of mine that travel all over the world all the time, and surprisingly enough, a couple of them come back and say, you know what, the best place, you'd think it'd be Italy or Greece or something like that. Germany's got the best food. I'm like, really? What? Sauerkraut and pierogies?
Man.
Like, what else do they do?
Homemade sauerkraut, too. We in a great big crock every year. We can it. Yeah, we do lots of canning.
I was really surprised to find out that, you want to eat well when you're in Europe. You don't need to leave Germany.
No. Well, you know what? They love onions and garlic. And what food isn't better with onions and garlic? I mean, really? And big sausages and potatoes. Like, German food is... I think it's food of the earth. It's very much peasant food. The food that we make at home is our dishes that come from peasants, that, maybe the scraps, but now it's more of a delicacy, like borscht. People are like, ooh, borscht. It's like this new retro thing, but borscht is like, it was from the scraps of the pig, and it was from the cabbage. Like, cabbage costs nothing. So they are peasant dishes, but they're coming back around again.
Commoner food.
Yeah. I love it. And greens and making your own sausages and stuff at home, like, you can do that. It's easy. It's not as hard as everyone makes it seem. As long as you have the tools, you're good. You can make anything at home.
Nice. 905-688-2582. Kimberly Turner is joining me for a couple segments in the booth. She does her own show called Cooking with Kimberly. You can check her out on YouTube. Do that now. We'll be back after this on 610 CKTB.
Listening to Tom McConnell on News Talk 610 CKTB and online at 610CKTB.com. Call now at 905-688-CKTB, 1-877-610-CKTB, or pound 610 on the Bell Mobility Network.
Welcome back. I am Jim Fannin. Having too much fun in between breaks here. Thanks for the music, Camps. What do you want Kimberly to cook for you, Camps?
Anything that you just mentioned, because I'm starving now.
When she was done with Tim's show the other day, my mouth was actually salivating. I think we were talking chicken wings or something.
Wings.
There's nothing better to get my juices flowing. And last night I got a nice fill of chicken wings.
Is that what you had? What kind of chicken wings did you have?
They deep fried them last night, but George from the Mansion House, it was his job to cook last night. Stewie, thanks for having me out. I invited myself down, and I was appropriately greeted when I got there. So,
wow.
No, really great crew last night. It started out, we had the chilies, venison chili.
Nice.
Fern had made this stuff up. It had a real kick to it. Yeah. Then you got your meatballs, your sweet and sour meatballs. So I went there next. no bun. And then the wings came out. Jerk chicken was a huge hit.
Nice.
Blackened, just like you come out and George is like, hey, or Stewie came out and he's pouring beer on it. He's, no, we need to blacken the chicken up, man. So we had the jerk chicken and all the salads and stuff like that. The only thing that gets to me are the tongs.
Yeah.
So I have to wash my hands, then use the tongs that everyone else has touched, and then go wash my hands again to eat my food because I'm really sketchy about doorknobs and dirty hands.
I thought it was just
and I like
me.
people touching my food, and I don't like to touch my own food if my hands aren't clean.
Me too. And the first thing I do when I walk in the house is wash my hands. No matter what, no matter where. First thing I do is wash my hands.
Yeah. And they tell me that's a borderline personality disorder, but I tend to differ a little bit.
You have to embrace
I don't
yourself.
count the stairs when I go up. I might just wash my hands, especially in the winter. I don't like getting sick, so I keep my hands clean. I use my sleeves mostly to open my door. My mother used to just scream at me, "You're killing me," scream with laughter. Like, look at you with your damn sleeve. And you know what the worst part is? It's become such a habit. That once you get sick, you're figuring, well, I got the cold already. I'm still opening doors with my sleeve.
Yep.
But getting out of the bathroom is the trickiest part for me with all these hand dryers these days.
And we're getting into like a really heavy door because I want to open it with my forearm instead of my hand. Anyway.
So tell us about your show. You actually making some money from this? You're providing a living for yourself doing YouTube videos?
Hey, you got to do what you got to do, right?
Cooking shows?
I don't do it for free all the time.
Yeah, nice.
If that's going to be your profession, you got to get paid.
Now, you, we're talking a little bit about hemp milk. You said you were forwarded a recipe and you tried it and you didn't like it and you're not going back there.
It was a little hempy. But I don't mind hemp. I've been using it for baking and things like that. I just need to tweak that recipe is all.
Yeah. I think a little bit of flavor was, if you put some vanilla or some
vanilla or maybe even some rose water would be nice.
Rose water would be nice.
Change it and mask it a little bit, the hemp.
Yeah. I swear that somebody's going to come out with a hemp drink that is nailed and they copy or trademark it and no one will be able to touch it for 10 years and they'll make $1 billion with it.
Probably so. It'd be like the energy drinks or that coconut water.
That's it. I mean, hemp is such a versatile food and I don't know if you played around with it on your shows. I've only watched a few of them, but it is a complete protein. So you could live on it. It could save the world. That's what they say. It has all the essential and amino acids in it. So you don't actually have to, if you ate hemp hearts, that complete protein, you don't actually have to eat anything else. You would survive.
Yep.
And somebody told me, I've been challenged to do the Morgan Spurlock, kind of the opposite of not eating McDonald's every day, but eating nothing but hemp hearts every day for 30 days. And a buddy of mine said if you did that, you'd probably poop like a rabbit and you wouldn't, your body would be so clean and so energized and you'd feel so clear in your head.
And you'd be
healthy.
Lots of water, of course, lots of hydration. And it would be like massive cleanse.
Yep.
Master cleanse.
So what did you plan for your Super Bowl? Did you have something already pre-made? Or
Super Bowl. Last night, you know what? I made curried meatballs and rice.
Nice.
It was awesome. I used that stuff from Perfect Taste out in Niagara-on-the-Lake. Perfect Taste. You can find it on perfecttaste.ca. Everyone's been asking me about it. But I used the biryani casserole sauce. It was awesome with the meatballs and the Thai rice. That's what we did.
Now, you seem to be pimping local places, food, spices, and all. Every show, it seems that you've got a commercial or a plug for somebody local. Is that something you've been trained to do? Or?
Well, not trained, but I think that it's important. We all have to hold hands, if it's local, that's going to be your freshest stuff, and these are the people that are around you. You want to support your community. That's it. That's all. I think that's pretty basic. I know we're a global community, but if you can't take care of home first, it's a problem. Also, can I do a shout out?
Sure.
Donald O'Sullivan, I want to congratulate him. He won the Brampton Cup last night. He was in the finals for boxing up in Brampton, and it was his first 3 bouts ever. He's out of BAM Niagara Boxing Club, so he is the champion of the Brampton Cup in the 152
Where's BAM Niagara?
They're out on Zimmerman Avenue, 4548 Zimmerman. You can check them out at bamniagara.ca.
Nice.
That's my home gym, so if everyone's asked me about where I train and stuff, that's where I train.
Nicely done. Kimberly Turner is my guest. Cooking with Kimberly. You can catch her online on the YouTube channels. And tell us a little bit more about what's your favorite food. I think you're in the right place because downtown St. Catharines, at least, you can eat all over the world down here.
Really
and this is first-class stuff. Now, I've been to the Blue Turtle a couple times, popped in there the other day. I didn't really know what I wanted to have, but everything's good there.
Yeah.
And I saw lobster scrambled eggs.
Nice.
I don't know what they put on top of it, but I was a little afraid because I kind of go with what I know. I have the same thing every time I go there. And lobster scrambled eggs, I'm not sure. I went there Saturday for breakfast. Sunday, if I wasn't late to coming into the studio, I wasn't late, but I was running a little bit behind time. I'm like, I wonder
That's
if
this
they
little
do
breakfast place right here.
Yeah,
Okay.
on St. Paul West. I wonder if they do takeout. I almost went the next day
Really?
and get the same thing, pork belly. Oh,
Really?
seriously, I don't know what they
Nice.
sear it in, maple syrup or something like that, but it comes out sweet and tasty. And are you of the opinion that we need to eat our animal fat as well?
You know what? I was just having this discussion last night, about this, and I think if we take a look at, say, a gorilla, they don't eat meat. They're omnivores. Well, sort of omnivores. They eat insects and things like that, roots and tubers and seeds and fruit and stuff like that. I think it's so much more important for us to eat our vegetables and our greens and our fruits and much less meat. I think we need protein, yes, but much less meat than what we're eating. Mind you, I love me some pork. I can't even lie. I love pork and I love beef, and I'll eat the fat, and I save the bacon fat and stuff like that, and I cook with it. But I think I try and keep everything really natural otherwise. Plus, we grow a garden. I mean, every year, it pretty much supplies us the whole summer. We freeze stuff, we blanch stuff. We've got it all year. So I think it's important to get your, like hemp and stuff like that into your diet, because that has protein and your amino acids, and get your oils and fats. Your brain needs fat to function. So if you don't get enough fat, your brain is, working on low.
Right, certainly. And that's where the fogginess comes from.
Absolutely.
It's Riley Cote, a guy that's come on the show a couple times, ex-Philadelphia Flyers, is big in the hemp movement down in Philadelphia, coaches the Phantoms. And he says that the mental clarity when he's consistently being on the hemp oil and the hemp hearts in his diet every
so
day
much better.
is way better. And
Yeah.
he's trying to get it through to his kids. Well,
Yeah.
not kids, they're men playing in the AHL down there in Philadelphia, that this stuff can really help not only your recovery time as an athlete, but keep you clear.
Yeah.
So you've got one last meal to cook. What is it? What's your favorite?
Oh, lobster.
Lobster. That would be
Lobster
mine
is my
too.
very favorite thing
Steak
on the
and
planet.
lobster.
I could eat it for, like you said, breakfast, lunch, dinner, dessert. I don't care. I love it. If I was stranded on a deserted island with lobsters, I would not be mad at all. In fact, you were saying where would I eat down here? Have you ever I'm sure you've been to the Blue Mermaid.
Yep.
Yeah. If you go to the Blue Mermaid, they have a lobster sandwich, and you think that you're at the Blue Mermaid, you're going to get some really fancy lobster with sandwich come out, and it's like white Wonder Bread. And this lobster comes out on white Wonder Bread, and you know what? It's the bomb. It's the best. So yeah, it's a little bit retro, but go to Blue Mermaid, go down there and get that lobster sandwich. You're going to love it.
Cooking with Kimberly. You can YouTube her, catch her cookingwithkimberly.com.
And you can check me out on ifood.tv/cookingwithkimberly as well. Check out the fan page at facebook.com/cookingwithkimberly and at Twitter at cookingwithkime with a capital E.
Nicely done. More after this on 610 CKTB.
You're listening to Tom McConnell on News Talk 610 CKTB and online at 610CKTB.com. Call now at 905-688-CKTB, 1-877-610-CKTB, or pound 610 on the Bell Mobility Network.
Welcome back. I am Jim Fannin. 905-688-2582. I want to get your take on what's happening in the by-election in Niagara Falls. We haven't talked any politics yet today. Not much. Anyways, I went off on Julian Vantino. Jackass. Get out of our way. Stop messing with the veterans. But we've got a race going in Niagara Falls. The leaders have been paying a lot of attention down here to us. Tim Hudak for his candidate, Bart Maves, is the conservative, progressive Conservative Party of Ontario. Andrea Horvath, I think she's buying a house down here, man. She was down for the weekend. Birch treated me to a game at the Jack the other day, to an Ice Dogs game, and he was telling me, well, I sit behind, Mr. Burke, and his wife, the owners of the team, and we walked in. There's Gates. He didn't tell me he sat directly behind Wayne Gates, and Gates' date was Andrea Horvath. So immediately, I spent an hour with Andrea in here. I'm not sure if she remembered that or not, but I immediately leaned over and said, "Hey, Andrea, what, you couldn't find a better date?" Gates is like, "Ow, that hurt." That hurt. And so the orange scarves were flying. Managed to get my picture taken with an orange scarf on. People couldn't believe it. I have not abandoned you, green voters. And we see the uproar that the Liberals have caused, definitely taken a little bit of punishment at the door, probably. The debate in Niagara Falls with Kojiko, we had Mike Balsam in yesterday, who's responsible for moderating those political debates, is not going off. Joyce was the first to send in her regrets. The Liberal Premier has been here many times with her, touring around. Geez, even the Green Party candidate got the leader down here a couple times. Mike Schreiner was down at Conzelman's on Friday. Bitter had a birthday party. That should be a song. Bitter had a birthday party and a fundraiser. They raised some money down at Taps and had about 15 bands come in. But I want to get your take. Who are you voting for in the riding in Niagara Falls? Or better yet, I'll take your predictions. Who do you think is going to win? I said from the beginning that the Liberals would be punished because of their track record with Premier Dad and now Wynne taking his place. My take was also the same for Bart Maves. He's lost twice to Kim Crater, the Liberal in that riding, who quit on his riding, quit on his party. And I don't want to pass judgment, but now what, you're going to run for municipal politics? I thought you said you were exhausted. Well, if you're exhausted, why are you throwing your hat in for municipal councillor then? I think there's probably more to the story there, but we don't know that. So it was my take that Conservatives would be punished as well because of their leader, who certainly is not electable. Bart Maves, good guy, regional councillor. Conservatives as the day is long, and also taking credit for bringing the casino to Niagara Falls. What? Really? Bart Maves? Bart Maves got the casino in Niagara Falls. Campaigning on that is not going to get you elected, I don't think. So from the very beginning, I said, this is the NDP's to lose. Wayne Gates has got a good profile. He's got some deep connections with the unions. I'm not sure that that's going to get him elected. I'm not sure that hurts him more than it helps him. But Gates has campaigned before. And I guess I got a soft spot for the NDP from a standpoint that I think of all the leaders, I think that these two provincial by-elections are very important for the parties, and that's why they're spending a lot of time, especially in Niagara, coming down with the leaders and campaigning, door-knocking with other candidates. See Rick Dykstra out with Bart the other day, door-knocking. That's calling the heavyweights in. I just think that this is Gates' to lose. And he's got some good ties. And I think of all the leaders, Andrea Horvath seems to be the one with the most credibility right now. And I think a little more left-leaning provincial policy is not such a bad thing. I mean, Premier Dad's had the gun held to his head by the NDP more than once. I think the NDP fails to stand up as a Democratic Party, though. You want to be Democratic, you want to distance yourself from the other leaders. We've been working on every leader to try and bring in a citizen-initiated referendum mechanism. Mike Harris campaigned on it. He was elected on it. But he didn't follow through. I think if somebody comes up with electoral reform, that's a huge issue, and I know it's part of the NDP's platform, but no one in the NDP is talking about electoral reform. They say they support it, but when they're in power, or when they have power, i.e. the gun to the government's head, all they get is checks scratched. They don't get commitments on electoral reform. So you can't be the new Democratic Party without talking about electoral reform or citizen-initiated referendum, a mechanism. The idea is, I'm going to give you the mechanism to throw me out if I don't do what I say I'm going to do. Amen. Who doesn't get behind that? We don't have, I'm not saying recall mechanism. I think that can be abused, and I don't think that's the solution to it. But what voter wouldn't get behind a mechanism that gave you the tools to throw the leader out if they didn't do what they said they were going to do in the first place? I want to get your take. Phone lines are open. 905-688-2582. Who do you think has the best shot to win in Niagara Falls? I have the right to change my mind. Often I do. My first take was it's Gates' to lose, even before he was nominated. Other two parties seem to have a lot of baggage, and I think if they win just Niagara Falls, the NDP will get a bump and possibly a little momentum rolling into what could be a provincial general election. 610 CKTB has a debate coming up Wednesday. We broadcast on air. Details are on the website for that. But who do you think stands the best shot of winning? You see, everyone's talking about the track, but nothing's really happening with it. The track just sits there still. We've heard ideas of repurposing the track, of bringing back the slots. Everyone's got to take on the hospital, this, quote, South Niagara Hospital. Well, people in Port Colborne and Fort Erie will claim that's not South Niagara. That's Niagara Falls. On the text message, 61010. Rhinoceros Party takes the seat. Thank you. NDP supported the Liberals. I'm going PC. Well, that's an interesting take, too, and one that Andrew Horvath had to answer many times. If you're so against the Liberals' priorities, why do you keep propping up the government? Why do you keep them in power? Pull the plug on them. Well, I can tell you why they're in power. Because the NDP keeps getting what they want. When they have this electoral gun to the government's head, basically it sounds like this. Scratch me a check for this. We'll keep your government in power. And that's how minority governments work usually. It's called coalition building. And that's why I'm such a fan of proportional representation. I don't want Stephen Harper to get elected with 37% of the vote and then have a majority mandate to jam us, to bend us over, and then to demand that we smile. If you get 37% of the popular vote, you get 37% of the seats, period. No majority mandate. But being a by-election, it seems to be more about local issues, what we're going to do with the track, what our position is in the hospital, what we're going to do about jobs. Again, I'm not sure how the province creates jobs. I know that it can foster an environment that is job-friendly or business-friendly. But everyone's talking about local issues, and I'm good with that. Even when I had the candidates in here, I told them, I am not interested in what your platform says. I don't care what your leader says. Tell me what you're going to do for Niagara. And they mostly went to their scripts. 905-688-2582, 1-877-610-CKTB, pound 610 on the Bell Mobility Network, or you can text. Got a few of those. We'll hit on them when we get back. At 11 o'clock, Clarke Bitter will be in the house. We're going to talk some Green Party politics. Finish off with the Niagara Falls riding after this on 610 CKTB.
listening to Tom McConnell on News Talk 610 CKTB and online at 610CKTB.com. Call now at 905-688-CKTB, 1-877-610-CKTB, or pound 610 on the Bell Mobility Network.
I am Jim Fannin covering for Tommy today. We do a little show here Sundays noon to 2. You can check that out. We've got some live local talent doing some bumper music. Black Flies were in last week. X Prime in the week before. We Are Chasing Cardinals. Great local band. And Billy Sadler's band, back in the days. A commitment from them soon. 61010 to text. Jim, unemployment in Niagara was 8.6 last time Maves left office. It's almost 9% now in the wake of the Liberal vacancy. Why would the electorate repeat the same behaviors and expect a different result? Steve, because we're insane. Thank you, Steve. Going back to last segment of your predictions, your frustrations, your takes on the Niagara Falls by-election. The leaders have been spending a lot of time here. Thought Andrew Horvath was going to rent a house here. She's been spending a lot of time campaigning with Gates here. All of them have been, including the Green Party. Mike Schreiner been down here, a couple times for sure, already. He came into the show, was out at Conzelman Winery. We had them on the show yesterday talking about the cold snap we've had and how it's affecting the vines and how they fortify the soil with something other than nitrogen, giving them more an earthy, organic feel. 905-688-2582 are your digits. We'll take your predictions on the by-election. What you see there, who do you think's going to take it? Coming up, John Storm's going to be in the booth. He's got a lot to get caught up on. And Clarke Bitter will get caught up on some Green Party politics as well. And to the phones we go. Andy P., how are you, brother?
Good morning, James. I'm well. How are you?
Good, good. Everything's good. Every day above ground is a good day, I'm told.
Good show yesterday.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, good show. Jim, the other take that I want to, comment on with the election. The elections obviously are always about two things. One, the bigger picture, what party do you want in, but also the individual. We know what the NDP strategy is from Central. Just listen to their radio ads. God bless them. They're spending a lot of money with CKTB. That's always a good thing.
Who's that now?
The NDP.
Oh, Central Party. Yeah, right.
Yeah, they're slamming Hudak. They're slamming.
All the parties are spending their Central Party money. I mean, it doesn't seem like any of the campaign commercials that I've heard have been paid for by the local campaigns. It seems like it's all coming out of Central, no?
Oh, I think the Mays campaign raised a substantial amount of money, and that'll all come out in the disclosure. But here's the point, Jim. NDP are concentrating on tagging Hudak and the Liberals with the reason why we should vote NDP. Why we should vote, actually, the ad says, in Wayne Gates. They're purposely avoiding naming Joyce Morocco or Bart Mays because they think, the default is we're not voting for the person. And quite frankly, Jim, I think that's a mistake. Let's look at the people, Bart Mays, Joyce Morocco, and Wayne Gates. Let's look at their track record. Now, I don't know much about Joyce other than she's a business person in Niagara Falls. She's a city councilor, and we could look at that. So we could look at her track record. But I can say this about Bart Mays. I sit with him at regional council, and the guy is a solid representative of his Niagara Falls constituency. He's a hard worker. He's reasonable. He's objective, and his track record speaks for itself. He obviously is a fiscal conservative. There's no a limit to the amount of money we can spend. But now Gates and the NDP. Talk about a party, Jim, that comes from profligate spending. So I think the fact that the NDP commercial is targeting the leaders of the party demonstrates that Mr. Gates is obviously afraid to go after the representatives. But I think the people of Niagara Falls, and Port Erie are going to be smart enough to say, okay, party aside, who's going to represent us best? I think that's why they supported Kim Crater for the longest time, Jim.
Yeah, you raise a valid point, Andy, and I think that could be one of the knocks on Gates for sure, is his strong union ties. I mean, it seems to me, I know he's so union-oriented and being employed by a union as president of Unifor or whatever his position is down there. It seems, and the knock on him that I've heard from other people around the community is, oh, yeah, it's great. He supports jobs if they're union. If they're not union jobs, he's got no helping hand at all.
And
he doesn't want anything to do with it.
And, Jim, to that end, as he's been president of 199, under his watch, whether it was his direct authority or not, Ontario Street GM closed.
Yeah, well, I don't know that you can hang that on Gates. I mean, he wasn't the guy that...
You know what? I can hang that on Gates like he can... I mean, I can hang that on the party, the union, like he can hang Bart Mays' ability and record on a Tim Hudak voice spot. So that's the point. Let's think about what do each of the people, even Mr. Your green guy, what's his name?
Schreiner.
Schreiner?
Mike Schreiner, yep.
Mike Schreiner. No, that's the leader, but the local guy.
Yeah, Clarke Bitter.
Let's give Clarke, Bart, Joyce, and Wayne, let's give them a chance to understand how they individually will represent the riding, because it's a lot about the riding representation, not just about the party politics. Who's going to be the best representative? And I can say for a fact, Bart Mays is a standout regional councillor, and he's a standout representative of the city of Niagara Falls. What's
your take on the local Cogeco debate that got canceled? I mean, Bart's people said no after Joyce people said no. I don't know why, Bart wouldn't come in and just say, well, okay, I'm in and force Joyce's hands. I don't think Bart's got any problem going head to head. And Gates, smartly, framed this as a jobs debate. I had Mike Balsam in here the other day. He said Cogeco had no plans to make this a jobs debate. It was a regular debate like we always do. But Gates framed it that way. Maybe he scared them off.
Here's the thing. Joyce was coming as a backfill for Kim Crater. She's the incumbent party. When you don't have the incumbent party there to defend, for Bart to be sniping at Gates and being defending the record, it's a lose-lose situation. Wayne had nothing to lose, just trashing the Liberals, trashing the Conservatives. I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed that the Liberals did not come to defend their riding. In the absence of it, I don't think there's a real fulsome debate.
Thank you, Andy. I appreciate your takes. That's Regional Councillor Andy Petrowski, who's standing for re-election. Not shy about admitting that up front. And hardcore, dyed-in-the-wool, blue conservative. Not that there's anything wrong with that. 905-688-2582. Up next, we got John Storm coming in. He's going to talk about his show on Cogeco TV, a car-sharing program here in St. Catharines. Clarke Bitter at 11:30. Talk some Green Party politics, and then we're out of here. This is 610 CKTV.
You're listening to Tom McConnell on News Talk 610 CKTB and online at 610CKTB.com.
Welcome back. I'm Jim Fannin. John Gamble is on the phone with me. John, your release said the XL pipeline's a good thing. Tell me why.
Well, we have enormous natural resources in Canada, and there's enormous economic opportunity to access more markets. And, of course, oil in Alberta is largely landlocked. And this creates a major opportunity not only to export oil to the U.S., but overseas as well.
Okay, and now we've seen a huge amount of resistance to this. What kind of reaction are you getting to your press release that it's all good and it doesn't affect greenhouse gases? Or
Well, I think some of the hyperbole around the XL pipeline has not been constructive, and the hyperbole on both sides of the issue. The fact of the matter is that this is an enormous economic opportunity for Canada. However, we also need to be mindful there are, to your point, some very legitimate environmental concerns around sustainability and so forth, and they have to be addressed and they have to be recognized, and we need to do it, but we need to do it smart and do it well. And I think this report is yet another would add to the body of knowledge out there that says that this can be done responsibly.
Now, is it just me, or does it seem like the government seem to be switching gears on this all the time? They're for it, they're against it, they're for it and against it.
Well, fair enough. In fairness, this is out of the State Department, and in fact, it's been quite consistent with previous reports that have been issued by the U.S. State Department on this, about the economic benefits and the environmental consequences. So, to me, this is actually quite consistent in terms of that narrative about this can be done and it can be done constructively.
And what does the study that you're quoting tell us about the construction of this XL pipeline?
Well, this one was largely on the greenhouse gas emissions. There's been certainly previous studies from the State Department that have talked about the economic benefits. That's been out there in the public domain for quite some time. This was another piece of the puzzle that was falling into place that was basically addressing that very specific question around the greenhouse gas emissions.
Great. And were you finding a number of obstacles, do you think, that are going to stand in the way of this?
Well, right now in the U.S., it's a very controversial and divisive issue. I think that there's some, as I said earlier, I think there's some very important discussions to have around about how you go about it and do it responsibly and so forth. But unfortunately, because it's become almost taken on a life in itself, there's become a lot of hyperbole and frankly, statements that aren't very helpful or constructive. I think at the end of the day, I think most people pragmatically see that we need to do this. Sooner or later, we'll have to move off carbon fuels, but it's not going to happen in this generation. Whether we like it or not, for good, bad, or indifferent, fossil fuels are going to continue to be a major part of the global economy, and we need to be at the table as this happens. We also need to be, again, looking longer term and doing it. We have to do it smart, and we have to do it responsibly.
John Gamble is my guest. He is the president of the Association of Consulting Engineering Companies. John, shouldn't we be looking at other forms of fuel rather than, isn't this a little bit backward looking? Should we look at alternative fuels, sustainable fuels and things other than moving crude across the country?
Well, we absolutely should be looking at other alternative energy sources. I mean, prudence suggests you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket, be it the source of the energy or what markets you're relying upon. The moving forward with this and doing it in a responsible way, and also looking at new forms of energy and allowing them to develop, these are not mutually exclusive concepts. And in fact, it's in the long-term interest of the energy sector to continue to look at alternative energy sources.
I'm quoting from your release here, the Keystone XL pipeline will provide opportunities for Canada with economic benefits that are far-reaching. Talk to me about the perceived far-reaching benefits.
Well, for one thing, first of all, it's going to create jobs directly in the energy sector. In terms as you do when you create economic activity for any commercial opportunity. There's going to be the actual construction of the pipeline. There's going to be the site management, the environmental work that goes on around that. And of course, when you create economic activity in other regions, in any region, you get the spin-off benefits as well.
John, what do you think the chances are of this thing actually going down?
I'd say it's even money at the moment.
Okay, 50-50, eh?
Yeah, it's really, who knows what's in the mind of the current U.S. administration. It's admittedly a very difficult situation for President Obama because he has, certainly he has celebrity fundraisers that are very much against the issue. But he's also got to look at the American people, and many of whom are looking forward to this project as a means of creating jobs.
What's the next step for your group?
Well, we're certainly going to watch the issue. I mean, it's really sitting with the Obama administration at the moment. We had previously written a joint letter with our sister association in the United States to President Obama and Secretary Kerry, and we're going to continue to watch and monitor the situation very closely.
John Gamble, thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate it. He is the president of the Association of Consulting Engineering Companies. John Gamble, Keystone XL report positive for Canada. Nicely done. Coming up next, John Storm. We're going to talk about CarShare, Niagara, taking Niagara by storm, and anything else you want to touch on. He's in the booth now. We'll go live with that. After this is 610 CKTB.
Well, I'm gonna find a home and we'll see how it feels going mobile. Keep me moving. I can pull up by the curb, I can make it on the road going mobile. I can stop in any street inviting people there with me going mobile. Keep me moving.
You're listening to Tom McConnell on News Talk 610 CKTB and online at 610CKTB.com.
Doing alright. A little driving on a side.
Welcome back. I am Jim Fenn and sit with John Storm. Take Niagara by storm. Might have seen him on Cogeco. Got a little car share going on down here. He's involved with the Garden City Co-op. A lot of scuttlebutt around town about that. John, thanks for taking the time for coming in. Just for our listeners that don't know who you are, tell us a little bit about who you are or what you do.
Sure. I've lived in Niagara a long time. I think that one of the different things I've done with the city and the region, I do say this. It's sort of an interesting bit. People who grew up here, who never left, they tend to be the greatest critics. People who have come from other places actually see opportunity here. I come from Kitchener and Ottawa, but I've lived here a long time.
Right.
Okay, so during the daytime, I'm the director of Oxford Learning up at Ridley Heights Plaza.
Right, okay.
But my staff is just terrific and wonderful, so that allows me to provide some service in the community. And yeah, I do the show on Cogeco. I'm in my 7th year, taking Niagara by storm. I've had on sex trade workers to the lawyer for Karla Homolka. I asked him, George, you've represented some of the most violent people in the history of this country. And then I paused for about 30 seconds and I said, how are you sleeping? And he said, oh my God, John, I'm not sleeping. I have nightmares every night. So that, I do that. I do another little bit on Bullet News, 10 minutes. That's online. I am on the board of Community CarShare, and that's what we're going to talk about today. Okay. And I'm chair of the Garden City Food Co-op. We want to put a grocery store downtown with healthy food in it.
Nice. Now, how's search for a location going? If you're having a hard time finding a place big enough downtown?
Not really. We have the funny thing about downtown St. Catharines is that there are people approaching us. Mm-hmm. I can't talk about where those places are, right? But it will be downtown.
How much space are you looking for a co-op?
We're looking for about 4,000 square feet.
That'll do it, eh?
Yeah.
And tell me, what is the co-op?
Well, the Garden City Food Co-op is funded by the Trillium Foundation. And what we want to do, we looked at the dynamics of downtown St. Catharines, and I would call it a food desert. There used to be an IGA on Welland Avenue, and they left. And now some of the lowest income people of this community are buying from convenience stores, which is expensive and frankly not healthy for you.
Got that. And
frankly, with all respect to even the big, powerful grocery stores, with all respect to them, a lot of food is being sold that's hurting people. Now, we'll sell a lot of that stuff, but we want to also provide a small venue where we can help educate people about nutrition, what's good for children to eat.
Okay, now, so logistically, what's the co-op look like? We have a bunch of farmer stations from market set up?
It would look similar to a grocery store. We'd have a bakery.
More local product?
Yeah, and that's the big thing. We want to buy from local farmers. There are farmers in this region who are not allowed to sell to supermarkets.
So the co-op would be owned by the vendors, the producers?
No, the co-op is owned by the public.
Oh, okay.
We have an interim board of directors. We will go to a full board of directors. We're incorporated now. We are almost ready to sell memberships, and that'll be $120 one-time fee for your family.
So you have to be a member to shop at the co-op?
No, you don't have to, but you'll get a few
club
perks
memberships
as your member. Yeah. Okay. And the Hamilton Food Co-op opened just last week.
Okay.
And this is a movement coming very quickly. The CarShare is a co-op. The young people today, and I'm the chair of the Niagara Workforce Planning Board. The young people today do not have the money to buy companies. Over 50% of all the people in Canada who own companies are retiring within the next 5 years. 50%. And many of them are saying, I think I'll just wind it down, because they don't think they can sell it to young people today who don't have the cash. Here's the trick. You get 4 or 5 or 100 people together and you form a co-op, and you pool your resources and you buy that business, and you're all owners. The best example in Niagara is Fleet Industries in Fort Erie, aerospace. They were on the verge of bankruptcy years ago. The management was ready to close it, and the workers said, no, we're going to buy it. So they formed a co-op, and now they're making a ton of money. Every credit union in Ontario is a co-op.
Okay.
And so you're going to hear that phrase, co-op, a great deal in the future. The old model of doing business, frankly, is broken. Because young people today are graduating from post-secondary education with a lot of debt. They just can't afford to buy anything.
So the traditional owned by its members is not always the way co-ops work, but a co-op, from the way I understand it, is all the money goes back into the business, no?
Yes.
You don't pay dividends, you don't have shareholders.
The food co-op will pay dividends if you buy shares.
Okay.
There are different types of co-ops. One is a worker co-op where the workers would buy the business and they then run it.
Right.
And it's a co-op, though. Another co-op might have every single member, like the credit union. Every member of a credit union is just that, a member, and they have a vote.
Nice. Tell me about CarShare. This is a great idea that's been used all around the world, a lot in Canada and big centers. And, we're a small town. Sometimes it takes a while for the progressive ideas to filter down. Tell me about your experience with this.
CarShare came to Niagara a couple of years ago, and they presented the idea. It sounded good. They're very active in Kitchener-Waterloo in particular. And then I waited. I wanted to be careful about getting involved because I've sat on too many boards and councils that are
like a busy guy.
Wholly dysfunctional. I didn't want to do that. And so I looked at it, and then I had lunch with a few of those individuals from Kitchener, and I thought, this is a good way to spend my spare time. CarShare is an idea where you become a member of Community CarShare. It's a co-op as well. And you pay a certain amount a month, and then you get the car. The car sits right now in the Carlisle Street parking garage in St. Catharines.
Okay.
So if you're a member, you are given a card. You then book your car online, and then you go to the car with your card. There's a sensor in the windshield. You scan your card over the sensor, and the doors open. You then get in the car. The key is tethered to the steering column. You put the key in. You drive out of the parking garage. We give you a white card that gets you out for free and in for free. And then you start driving. And you can take that car from St. Catharines to Port Colborne and back. And you can take that car on a 3-month vacation if you want. You can book that car all day. We only have one car here, and it took me frankly, some negotiating with the CarShare board to put a car in St. Catharines, because they said St. Catharines is not showing us a lot of enthusiasm. And I said, you've got to understand something, fellows. Niagara is very slow to accept new ideas. We have massive passivity in this region, and we don't like change very often. And this is an idea that will not only help people, but help you save a ton of money.
Yeah, definitely. Owning a car is very expensive, and when you could, what's it cost to get a CarShare car for a day?
You would. There are different levels. People can go to the website and get all the details, but generally, you pay $40 a month, and then if you want it for the day, it's $20. Wow! And these are efficient cars. When we look
at say CarShare over it, you got all over it. You got to. Does everyone know you're driving a CarShare car when you're in it?
No, we're very discreet
Okay,
about that.
good.
Actually, you get a little logo on the sides, and that's it.
Okay.
But when I drive it around Niagara, I see people watching and taking down the website.
Nice.
Yeah. Nice. So we have the car now, and we just want some more members so we can get a second and third and fourth and fifth car.
Okay.
And then it will spread to Niagara Falls and Welland.
Great idea. I got a question here on the text. Why can't local farmers sell to grocery stores? Utterly ridiculous.
Well, what happens is the food terminal on your way to Toronto, a farmer could go there with local peaches.
Okay.
And then say, I've got my peaches, and that person at the food terminal will say, look, Mr. or Miss Farmer, I'm really sorry, but we have an agreement with the Californians or the Mexicans or the Floridians. If we buy locally, they'll cut our contract.
Oh.
That's insane. Why can we not buy from our own farmers?
Great.
And we should be buying from our own farmers.
Support local. John Storm is my guest. Another segment with him coming up. We're talking taking storm by Niagara, taking storm by CarShare in Niagara. Talking about the Garden City Co-op. And anything else you want to talk about, 905-688-2582. More with John Storm after this on 610 CKTB.
To Tom McConnell on News Talk 610 CKTB and online at 610CKTB.com.
Looking back on the track for a little greenback. Got to find just the kind or losing my mind. Out of sight in the night, out of sight in the day. Looking back on the track, gonna do it my way. Out of sight in the night, out of sight in the day.
Welcome back. I am Jim Fannin. I'm joined by John Storm, who you might know from Cogeco TV, the TV show Taking Niagara by Storm. We're talking CarShare. We talked a little bit of Garden City Co-op. John, thanks for your time. I know you're really busy. I didn't know you were that busy. Man, how many boards do you sit on?
I don't want to say.
Okay.
And I'm not with CSIS either.
Okay.
I want to remind your listeners of something that they should be aware of, and not many people know this. On the BBC 2 weeks ago, I heard the former CEOs of Shell and BP say in their retirement, worth millions of dollars, the future looks very bad environmentally. China is doing more to abate pollution than the Americans are. Now, China has a lot more pollution.
Certainly.
But when you hear these oil company guys say this in their retirement and they're terrified about what's happening to their children, frankly, we have to talk about things like CarShare. My wife drives a hybrid. I drive a Volvo. Actually, I walk. I walk almost everywhere I go because who wants to pay these costs? And CarShare is one way to minimize your cost. We pay your gas. We pay the insurance as long as you're credible to get insurance. And all you do is you pay a little bit of money. In Kitchener-Waterloo, it's phenomenally powerful. In fact, a lot of professors at college and university use CarShare. Why would you buy a car that costs $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 to sit in your driveway and you use it maybe, once a day? The depreciation I mean, it's the
Great point.
biggest cost after you buy your house.
Sure.
And then you have to keep buying it because of the depreciation. And if you get into an accident, woe is you.
Mm-hmm. Insurance, gas, the initial cost, leasing, or
I'll give you an
whatever.
example of insurance. Many years ago, I'm at the Welland Avenue car wash. I back out. My fault. A car comes zooming past me. I clip the guy's side.
Mm-hmm.
About 6 months later, I'm in London, Ontario. I hit a little patch of ice. I bump a car in front of me. 2 accidents in 1 year. My premiums went to $5,000 for 6 years.
Wow.
I kept emailing the insurance company saying, when is my sentence over? I'm tired of that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm saving a ton of money with CarShare and, frankly, with walking. Let's get off the oil kick.
Wow. John Storm is my guest. You know him from Kojiko's TV show, Taking Niagara by Storm. You must have interviewed some great guests on that show. Tell me a little bit about them.
Well, yeah, we've had... The funny thing is that, you know, a lot of people want on, I'm sure, as they do with your show, but you've got to get the right people on. I've had on lots of political people. I've had on economic people. I've had on police who've talked about sex trade workers being victims. Mm-hmm. I've had on people whose relatives have been murdered. And I remember doing a full-hour show out of Thorold City Hall with 5 city mayors a couple of years ago. I could not help myself. At minute 40, I'm standing, they're all seated, and I said, gentlemen, all of you were at Niagara-Palooza where Eddie Friel and Richard Florida spoke. What did they talk about? The need for tolerance. Look at us, 6 white men. Look at us. Where are the women? Where are the disenfranchised? Where are the people with disabilities? And then I couldn't help myself. I said, the very best people in this region refuse to sit on your councils because they don't have patience for endless meetings that end at 1 o'clock, and you decide very little. And frankly, people should read the book, The Unwinding. It's a new book out. That team makes a very powerful argument that institutions, particularly governments, no longer represent the public. They represent their stakeholders. They're funders in the election.
Yeah, you got to take care of the guys that brought you to the dance. Talk to me a little bit about local politics just on the way out of here. Go is getting a lot of play with the Niagara Falls by-election. We'll talk to Clarke Bitter about that next. What do you see infrastructure-wise as needed in the community? I talked to David Alexander. He says the most important things. We need good health care, you need a good regional transit system, and you need affordable child care for the spouses or the working mates that will not get a job or find it very difficult to get into the workforce if they can't get their children affordable daycare. What do you see as major issues? We
need people to come out of the woodwork. We need brand new people who've got great ideas, because the passivity is hurting us a great deal.
How do the ideas help you when you're in a region or a city that really is just so adverse to change? At
the Workforce Planning Board, we were bringing associations together, the architects, the engineers, the planners, the accountants. They don't know one another. We could well get to a stage where at the Workforce Planning Board, we could one day go to the region and say we represent 85,000 workers. That's new. This is not a union. This is not a chamber of commerce. This is a community discussion. And we have to start talking about taking some risk, some good risk, because we don't take enough risk here.
What type of risk will you be talking about project-wise?
When we put together NGen, the digital media organization, we didn't fund it properly. In Waterloo, they spent 10 times the amount on their Digital Technology Innovation Center. We're cheap here, and we have to spend properly. We have to say, look, I was on a business committee at St. Catharines City Hall. We convinced the city to go two-way traffic to increase pedestrian traffic and to stop the exodus down St. Paul Street to the outside of the city. One councillor said, well, what else should we change? And I think people will know who I'm talking about. I said, I think we should talk about term limits for city councillors.
Amen.
You can't sit on council for 30 years. We need new ideas. And so we really have to engage someone who works for me. Her husband's from Portugal, from a small town. They wanted to close the post office. all 800 adults, all of them marched on the governor's office. What do we do in Canada? We sit back and we take it.
John Storm is my guest. 905-688-2582. Who do you got coming up on your show, John?
Let me see. Well,
and when is your show, more importantly? When can we catch it?
On Cogeco, it's Mondays at 6 o'clock.
You doing live or live to tape?
It's tape.
Okay.
Mondays at 6 o'clock, Wednesdays at 6:30, and Sunday at 1:30.
Okay.
To be really honest with you, I tape in advance. I don't know who's on tonight.
Typical broadcaster. Who's on your show? I don't know. Other people handle that for me. John Storm, I really appreciate your time. Thank
Pleasure.
you very much.
Thank you.
Good to have you in. We'll touch base with you again. Coming up next, we got Clarke Bitter. We're going to give him the last segment. Talk a little bit about the Niagara Falls by-election, his take, and some of his policies that he's got, both provincially and for that riding. This is 610 CKTB.
You're listening to Tom McConnell on News Talk 610 CKTB and online at 610CKTB.com.
Welcome back. I'm Jim Fannin. One last segment. Tommy's back tomorrow. Clarke Bitter joins me in the booth. Thank you to my guest today, John Storm, Kimberly Turner. Wow, we had a bunch of them. I don't want to name them all. Clarke, how's things going in the by-election in Niagara Falls?
Going quite well, Jim. How are you?
Everything's good, man.
Good.
Every day above ground is a good day, they tell me. So here I'm doing something I love behind the microphone. So thanks for coming in. We'll give you the last segment.
My pleasure.
Tell us how things are going in Niagara Falls.
Things are going well in Niagara Falls and Fort Erie. And,
how many debates in total you got?
We have 3 all-Chamber of Commerce debates.
Okay.
The first one is tonight at the Clarion Hotel on Garrison Road in Fort Erie. I've been included in all the debates, except for the one on Wednesday night hosted by your station, which I feel is actually a really important debate. Its importance is raised because of the cancelling of the TV Cogeco debate.
Yeah, that's a big one.
It is the only chance now for people who can't get out to the live debates in order to hear us speak about it. Quickly about Green Party being a fringe party, there is that old idea that we thought we had sort of gotten rid of over 10 years ago. We do run candidates in every single riding in the past 3 elections. If you look at the Niagara Falls history, not in the past election, but 2 elections ago, we were ahead of the NDP in polling numbers at the election time. We got over 11%. The NDP just got over 9%. We're a legitimate party with legitimate platform, and I would really love the station to reconsider having me on.
Oh, no, you don't. You just want them to keep holding you out because you're getting more press from being excluded from this debate than you could ever get on your own, Clarke Bitter. There's no way that you could make this kind of press without this news.
Well, that is true. A lot of it. It's funny, actually. Yesterday we looked at how far the reach went when I first found out that I was excluded, and a lot of
what on your Facebook reach? You mean
my Facebook reach, and it was at 1776, and here were my undemocratic rights being. My democratic rights being stepped on, and it coincided with the same year that the Americans realized when their democratic rights.
Now, is there a way to revive the Cogeco debate? We had a talk with Mike Balsam yesterday, who would have moderated the debate and has been with Cogeco for 16 years. He said Joyce was the first to send her regrets, and kind of Maeve said, well, if she's not there, I'm not there. But is there a way to get these guys on board in the next couple of days and actually get this thing off?
I had also received an invitation for that and had confirmed to attend it. And I think really it's in Joyce's court right now. I think if Joyce were to... she's made no statement whether she was the first to decline or not. It's obviously that she was. And, for someone who is championing herself as sorry, little word scramble there, as the advocate for the seniors, this is the one opportunity traditionally that seniors who can't get out to the live debates, like I said, get a chance to hear it and see us. And I really would ask the 2 of them to reconsider, both Bart and Joyce.
Now, what are you hearing? I know you've been doing some door knocking. Your leader, Mike Schreiner's been in town a couple times. You were down at Consummate the other day. A lot of good stuff came out of that, I guess, eh? Amazing what they're doing down there.
Yeah. It just shows that natural practices, strong soil equals strong plants, equals strong food, equals strong, healthy people. It's a trickle-up effect, as somebody put it to me, that when you follow these lines, you practice health care and not sick care. Things like the food co-op that John Storm was talking about are fantastic ideas. They create extra space for farmers to get to market, particularly local foods. And this is something that the Green Party it's one of our stalwart platforms is food protection and food production facility protection, giving them access to low interest loans or zero interest loans so that they can either weather a storm or expand and get better equipment, bigger, better, and stronger, creating more jobs in the largest employer in our entire province. 750,000 people work in food or food processing, and we've all seen the food processing disappear around here with Cangrow and with Chef Boyardee and Bix Pickles and Leamington with Heinz Ketchup. Now all these farmers have nowhere to market their stuff. It's vital for this province that they reach out to this sector and protect it like they did the auto industry.
What are you hearing at the door as far as issues go? Do you see the other candidates, and are you sticking more to your provincial platforms, or are you really bringing it down to the local level? You're talking about local issues. I know you've been touching on the hospital, and there's the racetrack's been huge, hotly debated. We've been
taking our ideas. We're a grassroots party. We're all about our local people. And when you get elected to something like this, as a Green Party candidate, I'm not going to change the government. If you elect me, I'm not going to change the government. But a recent study came out and it showed that Mike Schreiner has had more impact on policy that the government has than Tim Hudak has.
Well, the NDP certainly is lifting planks of your platform left, right, and center, both federally and provincially, so that's good.
And the Liberals, it's great when you see it, like the VQA wines in the farmers' markets. That the GPO has been pushing for that for over 5 years. Expanding the VQA market into the grocery stores and taking away Vincor's monopoly. Things like that. We see the government acting on them. When it comes to things like green energy, we see them putting up these plans that don't work, that pay the supplier, foreign entities to come in and create temporary jobs. Really, only the Green Party can be trusted to deliver efficient, clean, cost-effective energy. And one of the ways that I see revitalizing Fort Erie is with eco-industrial parks. These parks, if you look at New York State's economic plan for job creation, it includes 15 biotech, clean tech industrial parks in the state of New York. It includes direct tax breaks for startup companies. That's our competition for jobs. Every single thing that we have to offer here in Niagara is exactly what New York State has to offer. Why aren't we realizing this and moving forward in progressive, risk-taking ways? You know, they're smaller risks than they are asking Samsung to come here and create 1,200 temporary jobs making windmills that they put in somebody's backyard that they don't want without community involvement. Again, we're grassroots. And, you know, to bring another point, what makes me different, a little off topic from that, but Andy Petrosky called earlier. And Andy and I sometimes clash on ideas.
Oh, who doesn't?
But he's right when he says that in this by-election, you need to vote for the person. I'm a chef. I'm a local guy. I've been here now 10 years. I moved from the outside, much like John Storm did, and I love Niagara. My son was raised here. He's a phenomenal kid, and he's moved on to school in the United States. And he's already told me that unless Niagara does something to attract these type of jobs, chances are he won't be coming back because that's where he's being trained in. These things need to come back here. And, you know, I've been a chef for over 30 years. If you look at the demographics of who works in Niagara right now, I best represent you.
That's a great point. What? Because of your training and background.
I know what they're going through. I know what is happening in Niagara as far as the food and hospitality industry. I know that many sectors and many people are being underpaid. I know that there's an issue with tips. A lot of management is taking tips.
Skimming the top, yeah.
Skimming the top. So we have a solution for that, or I have a solution for that, that under the Employment Standards Act, when you hire somebody who is serving alcohol, which is how it's stated, it doesn't state anything about tips, that you sign a contract at the time of hiring that stipulates exactly what tip percentage it is and where it goes. And if
it should be 0%.
Well, no, it shouldn't. There is support work.
Oh, yeah, you got to tip the kitchen out, but the owner doesn't need to get tipped out.
Tip the busboy, you tip the bar staff, and you know, the owner doesn't have to be tipped out. I agree. Unless they're working. So each place has its own. And that's why I say you can't legislate it in general, but you can legislate that there be a contract put in place that both parties agree to at the time of hiring. Makes it simple, makes it easy. Good fences make good neighbors.
Great. What are some of your other favorite planks in the platform of the Green Party?
Well, we had a fundraiser on Friday.
Sorry, I missed it.
For arts
Can't
and culture.
Be everywhere.
Thank you very much. We had 12 local bands come out. We had a host, comedian, David Green, come out. It was produced and organized by Intimate and Interactive Niagara. A showcase of what arts and culture as an economic engine can do. We filled Taps Brewery down on Queen Street, another revitalization area that can really benefit from an inclusion of arts and culture. The Shaw Festival is a perfect example of how arts and culture can be an economic engine for a small community. If you look at what Niagara on the Lake looked like before the Shaw Festival, it looked a lot like what Queen Street, Niagara Falls looked like 5 or 6 years ago. We need to include this deeper into our city, move it away from the park itself, or from the falls itself, and into the city, fill the motels, fill the smaller places, and get the small businesses out there filled up and working. That's where we start.
Nicely done. Clarke Bitter is your Green candidate in Niagara Falls for the by-election. I am Jim Fannin. Catch us on Sundays, noon to 2. Every Sunday we're live. We got great guests, interviews, and some local music coming your way. I'm Jim Fannin. This is 610 CKTB. After the news, we got Rod Mahood with Game On.